Hey guys, today we're going to talk about the Ford OEM fifth wheel prep package that I installed on my Ford F250 truck. It's a 2019 Ford F250 Super Duty. Installed that on my truck about a year ago, a little over a year ago. And if you're unfamiliar as to what a prep package is for a fifth wheel, it is a heavy duty cross member that gets installed underneath the truck bed and bolted to the frame. And that in turn allows you to install a fifth wheel assembly in the bed of your truck, like this one. The prep package cross member has something that's called pucks that are accessible through holes that are drilled into the truck bed here. And there are 5 of them total. The 4 that this system used, the Companion, are on the outside here. And then there's one in the center that we don't use with this Companion hitch. The prep package also comes with this trailer brake and light connection that's installed inside the truck bed. So the reason I went with the B&W hitch is because I read a lot of good reviews about the hitch online, and you can see it is very well built. It is very sturdy and stable. It's got the 4 puck system that has an anchor on 4 points, so very sturdy, stable, and it can handle up to 20,000 pounds, and our trailer is only 10,000 pounds gross vehicle weight rating, so it more than handles what we need it for. And the reason I installed the OEM prep package on my own was I bought this truck used, and the dealership who I bought it from, they would not install the prep package at the dealership. They were going to farm it out to some other company. They actually referred me to someone else, gave me a phone number and told me to give them a call, which I did. And when I talked to them, through talking to them, I asked them, I said, what system are you installing? Is it the Ford OEM package? And they said no, it was going to be some kind of aftermarket package. So I didn't want anything to do with that. I wanted the OEM package. They said that they would install it if I bought the OEM package, brought it to them, and then they would charge me $750 in labor cost to remove the truck bed and install that. And you know, after talking to them, it sounded like they didn't do this very often, so it wasn't something that they were used to doing. I actually felt more comfortable just doing it on my own. I figured I could do it, so I went ahead and did it. So the one thing that I will say is, if you're going to buy a new truck through Ford, I looked it up online. The factory charges $850 for the option for this prep package. So to me, it's a no-brainer. New truck, have them install it and be done with it. But yeah, I paid $650 for this package, and I bought it through the dealership and picked it up there. So it's $650 plus taxes. But then, you know, once again, I saved $750 by installing it myself for the labor. So what you're going to see now over the next couple minutes is an edited down high-speed playback version of the installation, and I put the music. Thought some people might find it interesting or entertaining. If you want to see the nitty-gritty details of exactly how we did this, fast forward about 2 minutes, and then you'll see exactly how we did it step by step. If you're just interested in seeing that whole process, go ahead and check it out. And thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. Today I'm going to be installing a fifth wheel prep package on my 2019 Ford F250 Super Duty truck. So let's get started. First things first, we're going to review everything that you get with the kit from Ford, as well as the tools that you're going to need for the job. Here is the fifth wheel hitch cross member that's going to be installed right on top of the frame of the truck bed. Over here we have everything that came in the box and all the different tools, as well as far as the sockets and whatnot that we're going to want to utilize for the install. This is the outer L bracket, right hand and left hand, and we're going to use these bolts and flag nuts as well as these ones back here for that install. These go through the side of the frame, and this is going to be the M16 by 103.5 bolt. That's going to have a 21mm socket for the 1/2-inch drive that we're going to use for that. The flag nut M16 long, and back here we have the bolt and washer, which is the M14 by 45 hex. We're going to use an 18mm socket 1/2-inch drive for that with the M14 flag nut. Here is an EP24 eTorx Plus socket. Could not find this locally. I had to order it on Amazon, and this is going to be to remove the specialized bolts from the truck bed. Here is a 1/4-inch ratchet and a 6-inch extension with a 7/32 socket and a 5/16 socket used to remove the gas filler tube. Got a couple locating pins that are going to be used with the cross member. Here are some trim rings for the pucks that we'll be installing. You're going to want to have a flathead screwdriver and an adjustable wrench handy. We'll want to have a 3-inch hole saw and a 4 1/4-inch hole saw with a pilot bit, and that's going to be for metal. We're going to need those to drill the holes for the truck bed for the puck system. You'll also have an inner L bracket right hand, inner L bracket left hand, and the bolts that you're going to need are the M16 by 45 Torx for that, as well as you'll need the T60 Torx bit with a 1/2-inch drive to install those, and the flag nuts that we're going to need for that is the M16 short. I have some spray paint on hand to be able to go and seal the holes whenever you drill them with a hole saw. You're going to want to have a 1/2-inch breaker bar, and then we'll use the 1/2-inch torque wrench with a 250 foot-pound torque capability to torque everything down. Lastly, we have the extension that's going to run up into the truck bed for the trailer brakes and lights, and that's going to replace the original trailer brake and light that would be used for a standard hitch. I did have to remove the bed liner in order to be able to do this install. It was fairly simple to remove. There were only actually 2 plastic pieces that go into the holes right here at the back, and I just had to use a pair of pliers to pull those out. To remove the bed liner, you lift up on the center here, and it is attached to the back of the bed with that lip back here of the bed rail. So you have to just kind of work it by pulling up on that center and then work it back and forth, and it'll eventually come out pretty easy. We're going to start by removing the tailgate. Note the wiring for the camera that runs through the back of the truck bed into the tailgate. We'll have to pull that out of there after it's disconnected. On the back left frame of the truck, you're going to see a couple connectors near the spare tire that are going to have to be disconnected. Those are for the camera. Just use a screwdriver to pull this tab back, lift this up, comes right off. You have to tilt the tailgate up a bit in order to get it to the place where you can pull it out of the slot, just like that on the right side. Pull out of that slot. Get a good grip on the tailgate, and then pull to the right, and it comes right off. For the gas filler tubes, you want to loosen up the gas caps. That pulls right off. Get a screwdriver, they've got a little spot actually right down here at the bottom. Pull that trim ring off. Go from the left side, there's a couple tabs right here that fit into the right side. And you'll want to take your 5/16" socket, 1/4-inch drive, and remove these bolts from the diesel side. Once the diesel side bolts are removed, You want to do the same for the DEF fluid filler. 3 bolts in each. All bolts are out and filler tubes are loose. Just pop them in like that. To try to avoid getting any dirt down into the filler tubes, I went ahead underneath the truck bed and screwed on the filler caps. Next step is to take out the 8 bolts for the bed, and these once again are going to be removed with the 1/2-inch breaker bar and the EP24 external Torx specialized bit. To make things go a little quicker, I went ahead and connected my 1/2-inch adapter for my drill, and once this is loose, pulling it straight out. Unhook the hitch connection for the trailer brakes and lights. Do the same on the right side of the truck with this connection. For this connection, there's also a plastic piece that stubs through the frame that we'll need to pull out and remove to loosen that, so that when you pull the bed up, this wire can come with it. I actually had to use a pair of pliers to pull that piece out of there. Okay, I've got the truck bed hoisted up in the air using the Jeep hoist system. Gonna lower it down on the sawhorses here. Probably gonna get a couple more sawhorses just for good measure. Alright, got the truck bed lowered down onto the sawhorses. Got 4 of them underneath there that are all supporting the bed rail. Wanted to put those underneath the actual steel beam supports rather than up just on the aluminum. That way it'll give it all the necessary support. And here's the truck frame without the bed. Okay, back in the truck bed here, we're gonna go find the small dimples that they've pre-installed at the factory to drill the holes. So this is the center puck, and here's one of the dimples right there. It might be a little tough to see, but you're going to have that in each of the 4 locations as well. I'm going to drill a pilot hole first before I actually put the hole saw on. That way we're sure we're in the exact right spot. Got the pilot hole in, put the hole saw on the drill and drill the hole. Okay, now we're going to find the next dimple for the 3-inch holes, and we're going to drill the pilot hole first. And now we're going to drill the hole. Alright, we now have all the holes drilled out for the puck system, and now we're going to deburr all the holes before we put a little bit of paint on them. So to deburr the hole, I'm just going to use a little bit of 150 grit sandpaper that I had and go around. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of spray paint around the holes here. I know they say aluminum doesn't rust, but they do say that it corrodes. The one thing you'll see here is that they have the brackets already pre-welded for the inside of the frame from the factory, so we don't need to install those. Those are already there. So those brackets that I showed you earlier in the kit are not needed. Okay, here's the right bracket. I just put the bolts in right there, as you can see, and one bolt here goes on the outer, on the back of the truck. This goes on the inner hole. And then I'm going to put these flag nuts right here on the inside. Okay, I've got this tightened down a little bit. It's still loose. That's what they tell you, to leave it loose. And I had to use the 21mm socket, and I used the breaker bar with those flag nuts. It was a little tight, so I tried to use my drill and it wasn't working out, so I used that breaker bar instead. We're going to do the same with this left side. Put the bolts in loosely with the flag nuts. Got to be careful of these wires that are running through with the wiring conduit and all that. Going to use a adjustable wrench on these nuts back here to make sure that these flags don't turn around and hit this wire. Here are the cross member locating pins. And they're going to go right in these holes here on the inner brackets. One here on this side, one here on this side. Got the assembly installed here on top of the brackets. You can see the locating pins where it's supposed to be there. That center puck, you can see that it's a little bit offset, and that offset should be closest to the front of the cab. Okay, now we're going to install the Torx bolts in the inner L bracket. And then the flag nuts will go down underneath. Alright, now we're going to install the cross-member upper bolts and flag nuts. And these are going to go drop in right in here on both sides. I got all the bolts in, and they're all loosely tightened, not completely tightened yet. Need to follow the torque specifications in the manual for each one of these bolts, so that's what we're going to do next. We've got a certain sequence that we have to tighten these bolts in, and we start with the right hand and left hand L bracket, 4 bolts. Got to tighten those down to 184 pound-foot, then tighten the cross member Torx 4 bolts to 173 pound-foot, and then the cross member upper 4 bolts to 110 pound-foot. I did get the truck bed back reinstalled. I had to lift it back up with the hoist, drove the truck back underneath the bed and lowered it back down. That was a little bit of a challenge. Probably would not recommend using a Jeep hoist. It was definitely, I would say, at capacity. We're going to torque all these bed bolts down. I have all the bed bolts back in place, and I got them down. They're still a little bit loose, but got them in place. Puck system, all looks good. Everything lined up. Especially they have those locator pins on that fifth wheel assembly, puts it right in the location where it needs to be for whenever you lower the bed back down. All the bed bolts went back in, no problem, and we should be in good shape. So gonna tighten these down. Now to get the filler tubes popped back up in place. Don't want to over tighten these. Put the trim ring back on, and the caps. Now we're going to install the trim rings. So in order to install these trim rings, got to bend them a little bit. Just work them around the puck. For the wiring harness that we're going to have to install down below the bed and run it up to the side of the bed, we're going to have to drill a hole, 2 1/8 inch hole here, as well as 4 holes around the perimeter for the screws, and we're going to use a 3/8 inch drill bit to drill these out, as well as this center hole. This is a homemade template. For some reason they didn't send the instructions with this, so I just made my own homemade template using this on a piece of paper and estimated the area where I wanted this to be installed. Okay, got all the holes drilled, pre-drilled should I say, for this, and check this. Everything lines up, so we should be good to go. Okay, once again we're going to do a little paint around these areas that we had to drill through. We're going to take these 4 clips and we're going to install them right there with these 4 holes. So now we need to make the connection here for the hitch. We're going to use this double connection right here, and this part is going to go into this part here and connect in, and then this part is going to go in on top here. Okay, so I ran that over top of the frame right here. And now I'm gonna snake it up and through the hole that we drilled. So I slipped the cover over top of this. I'm gonna clip this in place. And in place there. I'm gonna start some of these screws through. This is a 9/32 inch with a 1/4 inch drive. They do give you some fasteners here to put into the bed, so it's just going to get slipped right into that hole right there. I'm going to use some zip ties to tie the rest of this up and secure it. And here it is with everything all zip tied up. Okay, we need to connect this wiring connector right here as well, back right side of the truck. Time to reinstall the tailgate.